Hello, friends. Welcome to Literary Concepts. Today's topic is the Elizabethan Age. The time period is from 1558 to 1603. Now, let us try to understand about the basics of Elizabethan Age. The Elizabethan Age, which begins from 1558 and ends in 1603, named after Queen Elizabeth I, who reigned England from 1558 to 1603. So the Elizabethan age name is given after the Queen Elizabeth I of England. Okay, the Queen Elizabeth I ruled England from 1558 to 1603. So this is considered as golden age. It is considered as regarded as golden age in history, in English history. So, where that we find cultural, artistic, and literary achievements. During this age, we find many cultural, artistic, and literary achievements. So, therefore, this Elizabethan age is considered as golden age in English history. So, during this time, England emerged as a major world power. So, we see that England became a major world power, and particularly after the defeat of Spanish Armada in 1588, particularly. So, after defeating, England defeated Spanish naval forces, Armada means naval force, in 1588. So, after that event, we find that England became major world power. Now, let us try to understand the characteristics of Elizabethan age. The first characteristic, the first feature is we find the cultural flourishment during Elizabethan age. Okay, cultural flourishment. Literature, music, arts were well developed during Elizabethan age and reflecting Renaissance ideals of creativity and humanism. So, in literature, music, and art, these cultural aspects were well developed during Elizabethan age, where we find that Renaissance ideals, understand? So, Renaissance principles and ideology of creativity and humanism, we find the influence of creativity and humanism, we find in literature, music, and art during Elizabethan age. So, during this time, we also find the theater became a popular form of entertainment. Okay, theater has become a very popular form of entertainment. So, theater culture developed during Elizabethan age. The next characteristic is we find nationalism and exploration in literature of Elizabethan age. So, nationalism, particularly after defeating the Spanish Armada in 1588, so we find a kind of fostering, okay, so that is promoting, encouraging a sense of national pride and unity, so which reflected in the literature of the time. So a sense of nationalism and national pride and unity was reflected in the literature of Elizabethan age. And at the same time, the another theme, exploration. So this time was during this time, so we find explorations and expansions also. A significant exploration and expanses we find because of the figures like Sir Francis Drake, Sir Walter Raleigh, so leading voyages. Okay, so they did important voyages, journeys, so which increased England's global influence. So the second feature is nationalism and exploration. The third characteristic is rise of drama and theatre during Elizabethan age. So we find a construction of theatres. Okay, construction of theatres happened during Elizabethan age, and theatres like the Globe and the Rose. Remember these two theatres names. So these are very important for the sake of net or set examinations, so gave rise to professional acting. So when the construction of theater happened, then we find so a professional acting company is also developed, and then a vibrant theatrical culture also grow, okay, during this time. That is the third feature, that is rise of drama and theater. Then the fourth one is religious stability. We find the religious stability during Elizabeth's one's period. So because of her moderate policies, so which helped to reduce, understand the religious tensions between Protestants and Catholics during Elizabeth time. And the next one is Renaissance ideals. We find the Renaissance principles, okay, influence of Renaissance principles in the literature of Elizabethan age, particularly a focus on human potential, human abilities, and the classical learning. And okay, the classical learning means giving, okay, revisiting the Greek and revival of Greek and Roman works, and the exploration of themes like love, power, and morality we find in literature of the Elizabethan age. So, and the next characteristic is patronage of arts. Patronaging means a supporting encouragement to arts we find during Elizabethan age. Okay, Queen Elizabeth I and the nobility, the noble people of during that time supported writers and artists. So they encouraged writers and artists. So therefore, we find that fostering of a creative environment. Understand, a well-developed creative environment we find during Elizabethan age. Now let us try to understand major writers of the Elizabethan age and their works. So number one, William Shakespeare. We know, so he's one of the greatest playwright, okay, of English literature, of English language, greatest playwright and poet of English literature and English language. So his period started from 1564 to 1616, ended at 1616. His important famous works, for example, the tragedies like Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet, all these are important tragedies. So next, the other comedies like A Midsummer Night's Dream, As You Like It, Twelfth Night, and historical plays like Henry V, Richard III, and many sonnets he wrote, okay, such as sonnet number 18, Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day? So these are some of the notable and famous works of William Shakespeare. Next writer is Christopher Marlowe, okay, whose period started in, okay, 1564 to 1593. He was a pioneer of playwright who introduced a blank verse. Understand? He was a pioneering playwright who introduced the blank verse to English drama. So blank verse means a verse means poem. So blank verse means a verse without a rhyme, which uses iambic pentameter. So his important works, notable works are like Dr. Faustus, Tamburlaine the Great, The Jew of Malta. These are the notable works of Christopher Marlowe. Now let us try to understand Edmund Spenser, one more writer of Elizabethan age. So his time span is 1552 to 1599. So he is known for his allegorical epic poetry. allegorical, so symbolical representation. Understand? Allegorical epic poetry and contribution, his contribution to the English poetic tradition. He is known for his allegorical epic poetry as well as his contribution to the English poetic tradition. So his important works are, the first one is the Fairy Queen. So it is an epic poem celebrating Elizabeth I and the virtues of chivalry. Understand her nobility. So Fairy Queen. And the another one is Emirati. So it was a sonnet sequence. Emirati was a sonnet sequence. The next writer is Sir Philip Sidney. Sir Philip Sidney, so whose time period is 1554 to 1586. So he was a Renaissance courtier, poet, and literary critic. Philip Sidney was a courtier, poet, and a literary critic. His important works are Astrophel and Stella. It was a sonnet sequence which explores the themes of love, and the next one is the defense of poesy. Okay, it was an early work of literary criticism. So defense of poesy was considered as an early work of literary criticism. The next writer is Thomas Kitt, who is one of the pioneers of revenge tragedy. Okay, pioneers of the revenge tragedy in English drama. So his notable work is The Spanish Tragedy. Thomas Kit's notable work is Spanish Tragedy. And the next writer is John Lilly, whose lifespan starts from 1553 to 1606. So he was known for his prose romances. He was known for his prose romances. Okay, these prose romances, which are notable for their elaborate and ornate style. So prose romances were very elaborate, okay, elaborately explained and ornated in a decorated style. We find, and his work, okay, his works introduced the euphemism literary style. So euphemism means a highly elaborate way of writing or speaking. Euphemism means highly elaborate way of writing of speaking literary style. So where that characterized by its use of elaborate metaphors and alliterations. So because of using metaphors and alliteration, we find that euphemism, okay, style is well developed. And his John Lilly's notable works, Euphues, The Anatomy of Wit, Euphues and his England. These are the two prominent works of John Lilly. The next writer is Thomas Nash, whose lifespan is between 1567 to 1601. Nash was a satirical writer and a pamphleteer. Pamphleteer means a writer of pamphlets, known for his short wit and critical commentary. He is very much popular for his sharp wit and critical commentary. His major works are The Unfortunate Traveller, which was written in 1594, and Piers Penniless is another important work of Thomas Nash. The next writer is Ben Jonson, okay, whose life period is 1572 to 1637. He is known for his satirical comedies. So Ben Jonson was known for his satirical comedies, and we find his influence on early modern drama. Understand? And Ben Jonson's important works are Walpole, The Alchemist, Every Man in His Humor. So these are the important writers of Elizabethan age, okay, which we find during Elizabethan age. So thank you. very much.